everyone. Welcome to another exciting edition of Words, Images, and Worlds. On this episode, I'm delighted to be talking with creator, author, educator, Uko Smith. Yuko, thank you for joining.
Thank you for asking.
My pleasure. Yeah, I could see a stack of work behind you there, which I imagine has something to do with comics or teaching, or maybe a mixture of the two.
It's a mixture of the two.
Yeah.
I collect a lot of books, a lot of art books, pre-production books, whether it's for film, TV, animation stuff, Um, yeah, I collect a lot.
Cool. Very cool. Well, you've worked on books like Tuskers, Hitomi, if I'm saying that the right way,
I mean, yeah.
Lancelot,
hmm
Lifted, FX2. So you have a nice range of work that's out, very much often in kind of the science fiction and fantasy scope.
Yeah. Yeah, man, I love sci-fi fantasy stuff,
Same,
Uh,
same.
yeah. And so, again, I like that stuff. So I like doing technology and mechanics and that sort of thing, and
Yeah.
so I try to involve that in my work as much as I can.
Cool, cool.
Yeah.
That takes a special kind of focus, that kind of like design mindset too, of noticing how things are put together as well.
Yeah, yeah, for sure, and again, it took a while to get in that mindset of how, like how like shapes work,
Hmm.
when it comes to doing things with like mech and technology and those sort of things. And so uh little by little, everything you learn, what I mean, you start putting things in your work as you learn more things, as you take in more information.
Hmm.
And so, but yeah, seeing art books, from film, on, like Space Odyssey, what I mean? Seeing the works of Sid Mead, you know,
Hmm. Hmm.
seeing how his thinking is, to develop such environments.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
What got you into the world of comics?
I have older brothers, and
Hmm.
they collect the comics, you know, and the earliest things I remember seeing, were, back when albums were a thing,
I
right?
remember albums, yes.
Yeah, a lot of albums with a lot of artwork on them, from geez, some earliest ones I remember were like I think like Commodores, um, oh geez, there's I think I can't remember the name of the group right now, but there was an image where there was like I can't remember, I'm saying it wrong, so I'm just going to exclude that. So, but my brothers collected comics for a number of years, and seeing those Frazetta art books, those original
Hmm.
Frazetta art books that came out, what I mean? I was just like that really I got really attached to those Frazetta books, you know.
Yeah.
King Court, King Conan,
Hmm.
oversized, editions of King Conan, you know. So yeah, those were things I was just looking at that my brothers were collecting, and I just inherited those when they went off to college.
Nice,
Yeah.
nice. Yeah. You've already mentioned a couple of inspirations as far as science fiction, but any additional creators or stories that have really inspired you to also create?
Oh, geez, good question. Um, there were a lot of things over the years of growing up, as those impressionable years, you know,
Hmm. Hmm.
uh, growing up, like I said, like Space Odyssey, 2001, Space Odyssey, that was one. Um, Obviously the Star Wars stuff that came out, what I mean, no one ever seen anything like that, right?
Yeah.
Um, um, watching even like Twilight Zone episodes,
Mm-hmm.
which you don't really think about it as a kid, but you're just looking at it and you don't necessarily see all the more adult themes that are going on throughout Twilight Zone. I was a kid,
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. You know what I mean? And so the one of the episodes that really struck out the most, I'm sure you may remember, is the one with Burgess Meredith,
Hmm.
where he loved books.
Yeah, yeah,
You know
a
what I mean? Yeah,
classic for sure. Yeah.
yeah. So that's probably one of my favorite Twilight Zone episodes. And there's more in this room here, there's tons of books here. So that's probably part of that influence as well.
Yeah, yeah. Well, what's it been like to kind of step in and add to that lineage? Because you now have work out there. I mean, your books are going to be in somebody's office and probably are in a lot of offices as it is. So what's it like to kind of step into that chain of conversation?
It was something I was looking forward to,
Yeah.
actually, going through high school, having a few art classes there, going to art college, you know. And so being in that realm, to say, hey, someone's picking up my book or, piece of art or whatever it may be, that may be within a book, of a collected book of artists, of artists, is a good
Hmm.
feeling, you know, and then seeing those people that buy these, either my work or a collection of works, they actually come up and actually ask to come up and ask you to sign them and things like that, you know. Um, it's a really good feeling,
Yeah.
and I grew up growing up in DC. There were small conventions that would pop up in the area, right? And
Hmm.
just go there, see, you may see like one artist, at that time and for a show, right? And then I remember going to Silver Spring, Maryland, where Jeppy's Comics used to be, and Stan Lee would show up for a signing.
Hmm.
I mean, at the local comic shop there, Um, see, it's a lot, but those are the things that I can like truly pick out that I think that really helped make a difference. But it's exciting that I'm adding to it and seeing that people enjoy my work,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
and it lets me know that, man, maybe I'm doing a good job at it, you know.
Definitely so. Definitely
Yeah.
so. What have been some of your best experiences, best collaborations so far?
Um, well, the people, meeting people at shows is
Hmm.
one thing. I love having a conversation with folks at shows. Um, seeing even like prior to me, like one of the things that got me into teaching actually was being at shows and younger artists were coming up asking me how do I do certain things, you know?
Hmm. Hmm.
And so that kind of got me in the mode of like, oh, okay, maybe all right, someone, I never thought about someone learning from me. You know what I'm saying? I'm just out there just want to do my work, right?
Hmm.
Um, but when someone starts asking you how to do certain things, and then that kind of helped me start developing my own philosophy
Yeah.
of how to approach my artwork in a way to where I can, articulate it to those that want to learn, kind of thing. Those are good experiences and still are, you know. Um, just meeting, maybe some of your childhood heroes growing up. I don't necessarily like talk to them a lot,
Hmm.
you know, because I worry like I don't have much to say to them other than, hey, I like your work. You know what I mean?
Right.
I don't know what else to say. I'm sure they've been asked the same questions a million times. And so, but yeah, seeing people, talking to people at shows, I love the traveling part. I love the traveling part of it. So, meeting people on the road that they find out, hey, you're an artist, kind of a thing. They look you up, you know. Um, but good experiences. A lot of the work I've received over the years has have come from being at conventions,
Hmm.
as opposed to, filling out, going online or trying to, find work that way. I do find work that way as well, but a lot of work I do find or that finds me is stuff from shows, so um, it's really good experience seeing people, seeing what other people collect, what they buy, what they want to have a conversation about, you know,
Hmm.
seeing that common interest, you know. I remember one of my first moments of being in San Diego. I think back in 2011, 2012, is being on the shuttle bus, right? That takes you to San Diego, takes you to the convention hall, and just listening to the different dialects on the
Mm-hmm.
bus.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? People from that are coming from overseas and everything, and we're all there for like the same purpose. We all
Yeah.
got our own little things we're into, all little genres, um, but hearing that different dialects, I'm like, oh, this is amazing. This is what Comic Con is, you know.
Yeah.
People from all over just enjoying having a similar experience. So that's things like that helps, you know, keep the motivation going, you
Yeah.
know. And I remember the excitement of even like sending my first art piece like overseas.
Mm-hmm.
You know? That was exciting. Like, oh, I'm now an international artist, you can sort of say. You know what I mean? I remember
Yeah.
those feelings, when things like that happen, and or being like interviewed for a magazine, you know. From the first issues for a magazine years ago, being interviewed for a magazine, like, oh, people like my work. All right, I can keep doing this. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It is very helpful, it's very motivational, you
Yeah.
know, to me. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that idea of connection and community too at places like conventions and things like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I can say, it's we have your incidences maybe here and there kind of a thing, but for majority, 99% of the time, it's all been really good experiences, that let
Mhm.
you know that, hey, you need to keep doing this, you know, and getting the feeling from others that approach me at shows or even online with messages about how my work makes them feel.
Mhm.
You know what I
Mhm.
mean? And a lot of times, again, it's in a way where I would have never thought of. You know what I mean? And I know
Yeah.
how it makes me feel. I know how my work makes me feel when I complete it or during the process of it. But seeing someone else taking that experience, you know what I mean? And they're telling me of how emotional maybe a certain piece felt to them.
Mhm.
And so, sometimes you don't really think about it,
Yeah.
because you're just busy just trying to create something new, something interesting, you know,
Mhm.
that'll keep people coming back to you,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, and even spreading your work for you as well, at the
Mhm.
same time. So that's always a good feeling.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
What is next for you in the creative vision, and where can people go and connect and learn more?
Um, Currently, I am getting ready for a show in Orlando. It's called OAX, Original Art Expo.
Mhm.
It's coming up in like 2 weeks, a week and a half. Yeah. And so I'm prepping for that. So after that, I'm getting back into my creator-owned work,
Mhm.
the storyline that I created a few years ago, developed an ash can for it, you know. But at one point, like COVID hit, then I had to stop it, you know. And so now I'm at a point where I'm picking it back up, sort of rewriting some things I think that are, far more interesting than what I had earlier, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, so I'm doing that. And there's some other projects on the horizon with others that have approached me about doing some work for them. So I expect it to be a busy year, you know. I'm looking also to do my first Kickstarter, you know, not only with the creator owned project I've been working on, but also just a collection of my artwork,
Mhm.
you know. I did one before back in like 2010, of like the previous maybe 10 years of me producing art books. Um, but this one I want to be a really big collection, more insight, writings about certain things, how, my process or whatever my approach, and so I'm in the process of putting that together. And that's, a collection of like 20 years, at least 20 years worth of art books I've been producing.
Cool. That's
Yeah,
quite an amount of work as well.
it is. Yeah, it's intimidating, but once you get into it, you know, it's like, oh, it's not a big deal,
Yeah,
kind of a thing. But just this time,
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Well, I'm loving the art up on your walls back there as well, and appreciating the work. And Yuko, I'm glad to have you back anytime.
Oh, thank you for inviting me. I'm glad to come back. Thank you.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thanks so
All right.
much.